Hi guys, this is first time I'm doing this kind of video. I reacting in English because in my broken English because video is in English and it is named How a Nighthawk was shot down. It is story about F-117 shot down over Serbia during NATO aggression in 1999. This plane crashed in proximity of village Bujanovci, which has funny name. It means something like moldy village, just without this village because it goes without saying. So I really like this video. It is new. It has already 9 million views. It will be in top on this theme. And why I like it, because it is not heavy with propaganda, like other videos on this theme. It has this cool animation, which is always good, and voices of Serbs, not Serbians like in video Serbs, because state is Serbia, language is Serbian, and people are Serbs. You will say, who cares? But they are better than in any foreign movie where Serbs are featured, and way better than in GTA 4 and Niko Belic, where he sounds like he lived in Australia, Australia, for 30 years, and then he came back in Serbia with that foreign heavy accent. So good video, but not without mistakes. In animation, of course, but in story too. And there is some things that are added, some things that are taken away that are crucial for this story, how F-117 was shot down. So let's see that together and fix it, because I think this video will be huge and deserves to be proper too.
It's the 27th of March 1999. An F-117 Nighthawk tears through the dark, stormy skies, low over the Serbian.
Yeah, I will do this a lot, but you will have clickable link. He tears through the dark, stormy skies low over the Serbian countryside. It is contradictory already there, but this aircraft built in stealth technology, wouldn't fly low over any countryside, because it was built to be stealthy for raiders, and it would fly over clouds to be even more stealthy, because clouds will obstruct raiders. Flying low over countryside, especially over North Serbia, province of Vojvodina, is totally flat, and no hills, no canyons to hide from raiders, so it would be pointless and also a risk to be visually detected and maybe even identified. So a doctrine for this plane was not to fly below 6,000 meters, except when landing or being shot down. Okay, and no rain that night.
The pilot is Lieutenant Colonel Daryl Zalko, and his mission is to bomb the command center of the Serbian Air Force.
Yeah, I couldn't source that, I checked, but I didn't see that in his interviews, and most of information that I got is that mission was to, let me see, to target Hill Straževica, somewhere here above Beograd, where communications center was stationed. So it is roughly just 4 kilometers away from position where that SAM system S-125M Neva was stationed. So yeah, it is not huge difference. We will stick with this target, command of Air Force, headquarters of Air Force. So we will stick to that. Yeah, let's go back to story.
In Belgrade, it's the headquarters of the force that's going to try and stop him on his mission tonight. Zalko's escorted by F-16 Vipers with missiles that can lock on and destroy enemy radar. As he
F-16 Vipers, if he refers to nickname, okay, they are Vipers. If he refers to block 7072, that production of that block, of that version, of that upgrade was only in 2010, started then. So probably he referring on nickname of these F-16s, and okay. More important, these planes could carry HARM missiles or R missile, anti-radiation missiles, US version HARM, high-speed anti-radiation missile, I think AGM-88. But why is that important? We will see later, because Serbian air defense was always under that pressure because US-made anti-radiation missile and probably some others will automatically lock on source of radiation on same radar, and they will automatically fire on it and destroy it. So you had just tiny space, and you will see why is that important. So for same radar, 10 seconds or under 10 seconds, where more planes are nearby, just 3 seconds. And Serbian air defense crews were trained to do it in 2.2 seconds. To lock on target, launch missiles, turn it off, and you will see later why turn it off. So rest of this sentence will be stupid.
Approaches the Serbian border. He hears a command come over the radio.
This is Joint Forces Air Component Commander.
Because of the bad weather, the escorting Vipers are ordered to immediately turn back and return to base. He's on his own. If he's to make it home safely, he has to remain undetected.
Yeah, I think that was his goal, before he entered in his F-117 to remain undetected. But escorting Vipers, F-16, you wouldn't fly top secret plane in that time on top secret mission during the war, over foreign country with 2 buckets on your wings, referring to those F-16s. You don't want to attract attention, especially when they knew that Serbs operating with Soviet-made missiles that are designed to explode before they make contact with targets, sending bunch of shrapnels designed to destroy that targeted plane and maybe some planes flying in formation. So, he wouldn't fly in formation with F-16s, especially when you know that Serbia is a small country, especially for aerial warfare. So every day, each day of those 78 days of NATO aggression, hundreds of planes were in sky above Serbia and nearby. So he needed some kind of assistance. Other F-16s, 18s, and even F-15s would be there very close to help him.
A ghost. Fortunately, he's in the most advanced operational fighter bomber that has ever flown. The Nighthawk's stealth capabilities make the 65-foot-long bomber appear on radar as if it was the size of a tennis ball, allowing it, so far, to go unchallenged in every mission. That is, every mission until this one.
Well, he already said so far, but I want to refer to this tennis ball. How it is measured, that radar cross section. It was measured in United States when a radar is faced directly on nose of that aircraft. So of course it will give you best result like that. The Russians are a little bit more real, well, much more real, because they measured radar cross-section on Su-57 frontally, from side and from below, and then they advertised average of that, Why? Well, you have radars in sky, you have on ground and on sea, so, it is not just one radar facing you frontally, so that is why Russians are more real. So, Iraqis saw it, F-117, they saw it, just they didn't have doctrine how to deal it, So some crews knew it was some sort of stealth aircraft, some didn't, but both of them ignored that. Why? Well, doctrine was to ignore weak and small signals, because radar could pick up even flock of birds, even flock of insects. I don't know, do you have term for grouping of insects? So they are teach to ignore that, and they didn't react, But even if Novak Djokovic would serve that tennis ball, it wouldn't fly 954 kilometers per hour, which was cruising speed of F-117. And Serbs knew that, and also they were very informed, about what is going on in other wars and how technology progressing.
On the ground, an
And I must interrupt again, this is most beautiful missile period.
Anti-air missile battery is waiting for him. It's under command of Lieutenant Colonel Zoltan Dani.
Yeah, their facial features in this animation is top.
Serbian spies
And both of them, Denis Zoltan and Del Zelko, they have same initials, former enemies, now very good friends. Serbian spies have let him know that enemy aircraft are coming. That is so stupid, We did have as every country spies, but so many spies. We have a lot of Serbs living in neighboring countries and every country in the world, a lot of them. There is more Serbs outside than inside of Serbia. So some of them would call their relatives in police and military or their families to say, planes are flying over, stuff like that. But, some of those planes would go in other countries, some of them would go on training missions, some of them would go patrolling. So you want to tell me that, Aviano base here in North Italy, near town of Udine, 1,000 kilometers away from Belgrade, the civilians saw a plane on base that is outside of city. They recognize it is F-117 during the night, and they knew that it was flying on Belgrade and on Zoltan, and they say, Zoltan, you are chief in command, so we are telling you that they are coming on you, That same system has just 25 kilometers range. So yes, Serbia is small country, but 50 kilometers, it is not big area. Anyway, all around our capital, all around Belgrade, there were same systems in ring, because like every country in every war, you want to protect your capital city. And even second group that came after destruction of this F-117 and damaging some others that went in Germany. I wrote that city or base, whatever it is, Spangdahlem, it is very hard to, Spangdahlem. So, that base is even further away, and they know that he's coming. It is stupid. But we did receive such calls, and it was advised to those people who were persistent to inform just when damaged planes returning in bases. So there was 300 to 400 damaged planes during that NATO aggression in 1999. So no, spies didn't let him know, and most important, he didn't expecting F-117. They were there to destroy any plane that would enter their kill zone.
Have let him know that the enemy aircraft are coming, and he thinks today is his best chance to take down one of the elusive ghosts.
Oh, this is
Sweep the skies, Danny orders, and the P-18 early warning radar comes to life. They think at its lowest frequency, it may be capable of detecting the enemy planes.
Yeah, I don't know why planes in plural, if he expecting F-117. But this radar was designed to see planes and did see planes, a lot of them, but just this one was detected in their kill zone. So all others were outside of those 25 kilometers horizontally in range. Vertically, it had a range just 18 kilometers. I'm referring to those rockets on S-125M Neva system. Yeah, it wasn't like he was expecting him, or how you heard in this maybe video and other reports that they set up ambush for F-117. Well, it wasn't like that,
But it also detects clouds and rain, resulting in a screen covered in fake signals. But looking closely, Danny sees something.
Vidim ga.
One tiny dot moving through the masses of clouds. A tiny dot headed right towards them.
Duh je ovde.
Yeah,
Uključi nišanski
he
radar.
didn't say that, you know. He didn't say that. He actually didn't see him on the radar, and that isn't his job, you know. Second in command actually saw it, and then he was napping in that time on his hands, you know. And George Aničić, you know, second in command, he said, "Hey, Danny, this one is coming to us, you know." They didn't know it was F-117, but this one is coming to us. It is in our kill zone, you know. So even then they waited for him, you know. They spotted that plane on 20 kilometers and they waited for him to enter 18 kilometers away from them to be sure that he will not escape, you know, from that kill zone. And then they tried to lock it with SAM radar, which is there to illuminate target for rocket and to destroy it. So you have that early warning radar, main radar, and you have SAM radar that is intention to lead rocket to target.
Uključen je. Imamo 20 sekundi.
So why 20 seconds? Well, main radar can radiate 21 seconds before it will go in risk to be discovered by those HARM missiles. Our army, according to some informations and intelligence, calculated that you can radiate 25 seconds before you are spotted, locked by that HARM missile. Even early warning radar that has low frequency, you know, and it is harder to pinpoint that. And just 10 seconds before HARM missile can lock SAM radar, like aiming radar. And they were trained to do all job in 2.2 seconds when target aircraft is locked with SAM radar. So we will talk more about that just a little bit later.
Nema cilja. Nema cilja. Nastavi da tražiš cilj.
Zalko's Nighthawk speeds towards its objective.
Oh, it looks like he's going 4,500 kilometers per hour.
The computer preparing the drop.
Hajdemo opet. F1 I F2, traži cilj.
Danny double checks the low frequency radar. He can see the target. It's right in front of them. But he needs the SAM radar to get a lock.
Nema cilja.
The men scan the sky just as instructed.
Nema cilja.
So, to explain for those people who don't know what is going on here, I'm not expert too, but imagine this. So that early warning radar is like a commander on tank with binoculars, you know. He can see wider field, you know, and more targets if they are there, you know. That is like main radar or early warning radar. But this SAM radar, that is also called target tracking radar, illuminating radar, and blah blah. Imagine like he is gunner in that tank. So he also have optics, but it is so narrow field, so he would have, you know, trouble to find target, especially on early versions of tanks, you know. Similar things is happening here, you know. It is very hard for this SAM radar to lock, especially, you know, on stealth aircraft. So that is why he cannot see it.
Yet, the screens remain dead. But then, Zalko opens his bomb bay, increasing the Nighthawk's radar signature just at the
Laser
moment.
guided bombs.
Imam ga. F2 prati cilj.
F1 pratim cilj.
Lansiraj.
So beautiful.
Two missiles fire off the launcher in quick succession, streaking across the
Well, they wouldn't be fired in so narrow quick succession, you know. Two main reasons for that I can imagine in my head. First, you know, it is a big explosion, a big bang, like, you know. So if you would fire two of them, you would maybe even damage those rockets and disturb that launch ramp. But more important reason is there was gap 5 seconds between those two missiles when this happened in real life. So why 5 seconds? Well, you don't want to lose two rockets at once. They can maybe even damage each other during the flight, and more important is that if target release some countermeasures, you don't want to lose both missiles. You fire them to ensure kill, So that is why there is bigger gap, not like this. There is 5 seconds gap. So if one missile is blocked by countermeasures, second one maybe can reach that target.
Sky, Zalko drops his bombs. They follow the path designated by the laser and explode.
Yeah, we all played Call of Duty, well, most of us probably, but I get it, he wanted to be more movie-like, to be intense, bombs are dropping, missiles are going up in same time, and we will see more of that intense things, in the end, but it wasn't like that, and we will prove that. We have map, we have informations, and we will prove that, but let's see what they're saying.
He soars past the target. It's another mission success, and he ascends to 6 kilometers.
Yeah, he wouldn't ascend because there was, like we said, doctrine not to go below 6 kilometers, but we will see why is that important also.
But a few seconds later, his cockpit is filled with the wail of an urgent alarm, and his controls light up. It's a lock alert.
Yeah, F-117 didn't have in that time SAM alarm or SAM alert, so visual or sound alarm that missiles are coming, They thought there was no need for that. Also that radio communication over Serbia, I think that was no for stealth aircraft, but don't quote me for that. But this was for sure. In that time, there was no SAM alarms. He didn't know by a plane telling him. He saw them, When they entered clouds, those small clouds, and that rockets on solid fuel produced a lot of light and fire, so entire cloud was illuminated. So that is how he knew. But third F-117 that was heavily damaged, he saw them even launching, Both of them, one was named Jagodinka, one Slavika rockets. And despite heavy damage, he returned to base, this one, Spangdalem, and later that aircraft was disassembled and returned to America in coffin. Cargo. Okay.
Almost at the same time, he sees the 2 missiles illuminate the clouds below him, and then break through. They're coming right at him. Yeah. He immediately breaks into...
Now they are actively guided toward him, they're homing in on him,
Evasive maneuvers. He pulls his aircraft...
So let me say this. This entire operation of shutting down this plane was 18 seconds. Now let's measure from this point, but it is prior to that. Let's measure how much time passed since he saw them and he trying to escape, This is just silly,
But up to try and escape. He's pushed into his seat as he ascends, as the aircraft screams more warnings at him.
No warning.
The F-117 has no chaff, so with the missile locked on, it's entirely on the pilot's actions to try and...
So why would you have SAM warning if you don't have chaff?
Evade the threat.
And he escaped into space.
Time slows.
He landed on moon.
He knows it's over.
They got me.
Yeah, he said that really, but he said that they got me as soon as he saw them actively coming in toward him, when they breach out clouds. I don't know, is this good moment to see? Let's see first how they shot him.
These are proximity missiles and should detonate near the aircraft. Somehow the first missile malfunctions and races...
Yeah, that was true. Actually, he said he felt shockwaves from that air pushing against his aircraft.
By his canopy. The second missile, though, doesn't malfunction. It explodes, sending out a cloud of sharp shrapnel that perforates the left wing of his Nighthawk. The entire left side is blasted to pieces, illuminating the night sky a fiery orange. The aircraft immediately loses control and is thrown into a wild spin. As the plane spins, Zalko is pinned to his seat and experiences severe G-forces.
Okay, I think this is enough. So let's test this scenario, which is official scenario that NATO and American Army reported to the world, to naive news reporters and people. Let's see that on map. So he is coming from Aviano, somewhere here. There is Udin base is, I think, this here, or isn't matter, you know. So he's coming from north of Italy on Belgrade, you know. I know you're saying Belgrade, but it is White City, Belgrade, and not Belgrade. Oops. So he's coming from this direction, you know. SAM site is here. It is 29 kilometers from the target. And he needs to release those laser-guided bombs somewhere from this area. Why? Well, doctrine was not to fly below 6,000 meters, and optimal range for releasing those bombs is 5 to 6 kilometers. So having a stealth, capability, he will probably approach to 4 kilometers, so he would have that optimal range, you know, altitude and distance. So, but let's say he released bombs from here. He's still 26 kilometers away from SAM site, you know. So already here we can see that this story is, you know, just stupid. I don't know who can believe this story. So he's coming from Aviano base, releasing bombs of target, if this was his target. Even if they managed to detect him there, they didn't have a range, and they wouldn't fire even on 25 kilometers because doctrine was for plane to be inside of 20 kilometers. So then they would engage. But let's say somehow this happened. Let's say he opened bomb bay doors, they saw him, they shot him down, and he doesn't have one wing, he's falling, you know. Well, where he would fall? On Belgrade or a little bit further away, you know. But where he actually fell, well, he didn't fall here. He fell all the way here in proximity of village Budjanovac. Somebody even marked that place, you know, approximately place where he was, well, they say, actually this means shot down, you know, but where he fell. And pilot landed somewhere here, you know, between this irrigation ditch and highway. So it could be here, or even here, you know, but isn't that matter. They telling to you and to entire world that he was shot down because he had bomb bay doors open. So tell me, please, didn't they think when they designed that plane, okay, in one moment bomb bay doors will be open and he will be invisible to radar? Well, they did, you know, they did, but this is what that plane do, you know. It will open bomb bay doors, slightly appear on radar, release bombs, close the bomb bay doors, and adieu. He would crash somewhere on Belgrade or, you know, around, that is behind Belgrade. So let's see what really happened, you know. Let's see what really happened. And the one important thing, if you would watch this video alone without me commenting, you would say, okay, you know, it was just luck. Like, they will allude to that. It was just luck, he was on wrong place in wrong time. Well, he was designed to do that, to open bomb bay doors and to release bombs, you know. You want to tell me that all that great minds that designed this plane didn't think, okay, they have radar, since 1945, since World War II, and they will see it. Well, they did, it was designed for that. But this crew here, near Šimanovci, that was their job. This is what they do, and they did it the best in the world. And we will see soon why and what happens. So, he releasing bombs, on targets. He is turning, to go in same route. So he is turning, and on 20 kilometers he is seen on main radar, early warning radar, how you say it. So they say, then he said, wait, to enter 18 kilometers and no returning after this point. This is definite kill zone. Whoever enters inside those 18 kilometers and he's seen, he is dead. So they waited for him to enter 18 kilometers range, but Sam radar didn't lock it here. So he is still turning, to return to given route, to go back. And now he's showing them belly of that plane. Biggest surface that is, let's say, relatively flat, And now even that same radar see it. But that is not all, So, do you want to tell me that all this trip he was flying with open bomb bay doors, and for that he did have alarm, he would be notified? Well, no, he would suffer greatly for losing F-117 that way. Also, he was experienced F-117 pilot, as I remember. This is not scripted like all my videos, but as I remember, he flew even in Iraq or other missions prior to this. This crew, they are top notch. This is what they do. So when they saw it, lock it with SAM radar, they are firing those missiles, First missile is going after 5 seconds, huge explosion. Missiles are in the air. SAM radar is switched off. So they are not seeing this F-117 anymore. And rockets are flying in calculated intercepting routes because they know altitude, they know speed, and they know direction. And then they're waiting few seconds. Also, they know when those missiles will be on target. Those missiles are flying blind now. They don't have radars on them, So they are flying blind, like they are lost. And they counting seconds and they say, okay, switch it on again, that same radar. Because rockets are on target, not on top of the target, on target, in intercepting route. And exactly that happened. He see them, going through clouds, and then radar is on and he locked again on that F-117. So it wasn't luck, it wasn't once, it was twice. And then those missiles actively going toward that plane, and then he said, already then they got me, He didn't, go in space to try to avoid them. First missile, like we saw, did, malfunction and just fly over that plane. He felt, like earthquake, shock waves. And second did got him, So that is art, that is discipline, that is perfect timing, that is a lot of training, So they didn't accidentally shot him down. And from that point, on 14 kilometers away from them, so somewhere here, he was, losing his speed, falling down, and fell in village of Budjanoci. So that is what happened, you know. Not like crazy story. He was spotted outside of range, destroyed outside of range, but somehow without one wing, he turned back and flew all over to village of Budjanoci. You know, that is just stupid. But that is what they tell you. Why? Well, to save actions of that Lockheed Martin that built the plane, you know. So when news spread, you know, they said that so the people would still believe in stealth technology, in product that Lockheed Martin made, you know, and still people do believe, you know, especially Call of Duty players. Sorry, but it is true, you know, they think that is something invisible and invincible. But sorry, we didn't know it was invisible. And surely it is not invincible because we shot down 2 of them. B-2, probably Spirit of Missouri, and we heavily damaged 2 of them that they went home in cargo ship, you know. So let's watch the rest of this video. And what I want to say, there was 14 men, you know, in that crew that shot down this plane. 14 men. You know, it wasn't just Dennis Zoltan, but he is a great guy. So let's watch the rest of this.
The spin increases in violence. Flashing warnings illuminate his controls, and a bright flame shines through the cockpit windows as the landscape spins around him. He knows he's in a critical situation. Even ejection might prove fatal, but it's his only choice. He fights 7 Gs of force, 100 pounds pulling up on each of his arms. Fueled by adrenaline, he gets hold of the ejection handles and pulls. In the blink of an eye, the canopy is blasted away, and his seat rockets out of the cockpit. For 1.5, almost eternal seconds, Zalko freefalls through the air, stuck to his chair. He's barely conscious, and he thinks that the seat's still inside the plane and that the ejection seat has malfunctioned. But then, he feels the tug of the opening parachute and sees his burning Nighthawk tumbling away into the night.
This is pretty accurate, you know. Most of pilots said no amount of training will prepare you for this mentally or physically. So they're always thinking, am I already hurt but I don't feeling? Will a parachute open, you know? Will they get me and stuff like that? My mother actually saw it falling, coming from direction of Beograd toward Budjanoci and Roma and stuff like that. She said, you know, I saw something, either rocket or destroyed plane with 30 to 40 meters long flames, you know. I was playing Ace Combat, you know, on PlayStation in that time, so I was sorry for not seeing that, but she didn't know what was it. They didn't know what was it, you know. 2 hours later, they got not even confirmation, information from ground. Hey, you shot down F-117, you know. So it wasn't like ambush and luck and stuff like that. That is what they do. It is not Call of Duty. You don't see title, this is F-16, this is F-22, you know, next to that icon on radar. So they didn't know what was it, but for sure they rejoiced. And of course, it was goal or let's say dream in their heads to destroy such target too. Probably in head of every commander. But they didn't expect it, they didn't know it was it.
The violence of the spinning wreck is replaced by a total calm. Zalko breathes heavily as he takes it all in. He's alive, but then another thought hits him.
Man, Mom is not going to be happy about this.
He knows the enemy are going to be searching for him. If he can't fall to the ground unseen, he can still get rescued and get back home with no further complications. But then, he looks up. He notices his parachute is bright orange. He might as well be waving a flare. with his hopes of
Yeah, that is what he said also, and I think he said even white and orange, but maybe that is my bad memory. Anyway, I need to interrupt here also because there is one information for you. The doctrine was not to fire on rescue helicopters, because we didn't want to enrage general public. Pilot is downed and then they're going to rescue him and somebody is shooting on those helicopters, which would be perfectly easy where he fell because Vojvodina is, like I said, totally flat. They didn't do that, but they would capture him if they could.
going unseen dashed, he takes out a survival radio to report he's alive and well.
Well, this is not doctoring, but he did that.
Vega
Really.
3-1.
He
Vega
said
3-1
that
going down.
he reported with radio.
To his massive relief, the mayday is heard.
Vega 3-1, Magic copies your mayday. Last position?
Vega 3-1, last position in aircraft. Point after target.
Zalko sees a ditch from above.
Point out the target, I don't know what that means in their language, but if he refers to Belgrade, then he would be somewhere, toward border of Romania, totally on east.
He doesn't get to say much more before hitting the ground. He's now alone.
No heavy forest like this, there. So it is all fields, So aircraft fell here, crashed there actually, and he fell somewhere, like we said, around here, probably here. And there is just flat and all fields, plowed and seed, fields. And if he saw some forest-looking things, that would be bushes, on edge of some fields, some channels, and stuff like that. We do have that there. But only forest in entire province of Vojvodina. So all this, only province is here, forest is here, this mountain, Fruška Gora, and my village have more forest than entire Vojvodina, not counting this hill together, But here, where he fell, there is no forest, especially no heavy forest. What would you see would be bushes and maybe trees a little bit above your head.
Deep behind enemy lines. Zalko runs for the ditch he saw on the way down.
Yeah, it wasn't ditch like that. It wasn't like some trench. It was much deeper. It was irrigation channel. So it is indentation in ground where you have water and you can hide on embankment or whatever, how you say that.
He quickly paints himself with mud and tries to hide as he awaits rescue. News of the downed plane quickly spreads. Serbians waste no time and rapidly initiate a search. All around him, the activity gains momentum as more and more men appear. Men of the Serbian army comb the area, gradually joined by local policemen and civilians as the news spreads. Everybody wants to find him. Flashlights illuminate the fields and trucks roll past on the nearby highway. Zalko can do nothing but sit and pray. Then he hears a rustle in the undergrowth getting louder. Just outside his ditch, someone is searching. He stays still and quiet like a rock, quieting his breath. He hears panting and snuffling. It's a dog. Slowly and carefully, Zalko pulls out his knife.
I think most of this video is wrong. But still I like this animation, Well, he heard a dog not far away, that was his words. He heard him not far away, but I don't remember him saying things, soldiers or something like that. What he did hear and felt is tremors, and he just on, millisecond, he thought, okay, armor is coming for me, Serbian armor. But then he realized that those are bombs falling on Beograd, Novi Sad, Šid, and Sremska Mitrovica and Šid, those cities. So we felt tremors, even when bombs falling on Novi Sad, city that is 70 kilometers away, and he realized that. But he heard dog, not see him,
The dog gets closer. He weighs his options. Should he kill the dog? If he did, could he do it silently? He finally makes up his mind to spare the dog, reasoning that if he did kill it, the owner would be quick to follow.
If a dog who isn't barking went to him, he would be in deep trouble. Because in my 43 years of living, I never saw dog that is not barking at you, even friendly dogs. Those who do not bark, they are there to bite. So this is just stupid, And what that means, owner would be quick to follow. If owner was there, he would see what is going on with dog,
Then, to Zalko's massive relief, the dog turns, jumps up, and leaves.
That never happened, but okay.
The radio crackles to life.
Sandio 1, Vega 3-1, over.
Zalko's eyes go wide. They're here.
Yeah, some voices of
Go ahead,
service.
Sandio 1. Over.
Vega 3-1, is it okay to come down there?
Zalko doesn't respond. He peeks out of his hiding spot, searching the area for threats. Flashlights shine in the distance.
Vega 3-1, if you don't answer, we're gonna try this later.
He makes his decision.
Well, he could see maybe some flashlights, especially from vehicles, but he is so far away, from that village of Budjenovci and other villages, that this is so unlikely,
Yeah, okay. Let's go for it.
But this was true.
Zalko turns on his infrared
Didn't
strobe
work.
as a chopper races into the area.
Don't forget that your weapons and equipment is made by a private maker who was lowest bidder,
But the strobe fails, and the helicopter can't see him.
Okay.
He curses his luck and desperately checks for
More
threats.
shots.
He has a backup, but it's nowhere near as subtle. But it's now or never. Zalko makes a quick decision and pops a flare.
Yeah, I don't think he would do that if people are like 50 meters from him or even 200 meters from him. And anyway, if he was in that channel, he wouldn't. There is no forest. There was no need for him to stand and to raise that. They would see him, in the ditch. And if there was people, let's say maybe 200 to 400 meters up from him, they wouldn't necessarily see that flare in that indentation, in that channel.
Bright light spills all around him
So
and
I want to say it
illuminates the
wasn't
area,
so
pointing out his
intense
position
like
for the
the-
rescue
like this.
helicopter and the enemy alike.
There he is!
The helicopter sweeps in rapidly as the enemy also closes in. At the same time, in the distance, flashlights from enemy patrols are all pointed to.
That's looking like a truck for anti-chemical and atomic defense, something like that.
Towards the flare. But then another transmission comes through the radio.
Snuff your flare. It blinds our night vision.
Yeah, that was
Thinking
true.
quickly, Zalko rushes to take the flare and dunk it in the mud. Just as the rescue helicopter
He
comes
could toss it in the water,
into land right in front of him and is greeted by an American rescue team.
How you feeling, sir?
Great. Now let's get out of here.
The field is blasted with wind as a helicopter rises up into the air and exits a scene with just seconds to spare. before the enemy spills over the landing site.
Seconds to spare, I think this is also written by AI, it looks to me like that. And if they were there, they wouldn't be there with those trucks, and it wouldn't be just trucks, maybe trucks would be in minority, but there would be some infantry fighting vehicles and some combat vehicles, that could easily destroy those helicopters. But like we said, the doctrine was not to shoot at those rescue helicopters.
Zoltan Dani and his crew, to this day...
Oh, okay, this is end actually here. Later we have some ads. Why also this isn't true? It wasn't seconds to spare, because they forgot one man down there. So one soldier, left down there. So they returned back to pick up him. And also he waited 7 hours for them to pick him up, because helicopters were flying, I think, from also Avian or they were crossing Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, so far away. So this wasn't like Call of Duty scenario in the end, but probably for Dale it was intense,
Remain the only team to have downed a stealth aircraft in combat.
Yeah, they were not, 2 F-117s were downed and 2 damaged, as we know, and now we will hear a story how we know.
When talking about the incident, Dani would later say, when it hit, it felt very good.
Kao da ste postigli pobednički gol na fudbalskoj utakmici.
The US didn't destroy the wreck, and the Serbian forces salvaged the mortally wounded Nighthawk unimpeded. And today, you can still see pieces of Zalko's aircraft in the Museum of Aviation in Belgrade. Zalko always expressed a desire to find the man who...
Well, he didn't express desire, maybe he had desire to meet him, but one of news reporters who make interview with Dani Zoltan, he also arranged interview with Dale Zelko, and he asked him, do you want to meet guy who shot you down? And he said yes, And after this NATO aggression, a new government came to power that was pro-Western, which was bad. You will say why pro-Western is good. Well, it is not, it is good to be pro-world, and Serbs are always for that, to be pro-world, to be good with everyone. But that is not happening because we are small country. Dani Zoltan was sent to forced retirement. Why? Well, when new government came to power, it was forbidden to talk about NATO losses from 2001 to 2012 until this government came to power. NATO officers would be in command of every branch of army, and they could take even from general every paper from his table in his office and take it without asking and copy it and send to whoever, So that is how humiliated this winning army was. He was working as baker in his own bakery that he opened when Zelko came, and Zelko saluted him from doors, and Zoltan all covered with flour, salute him back, and now they are very good friends. How we have proof that our army destroyed 2 F-117s and B-2, probably Spirit of Missouri. So we always heard stories, about that from civilians, but when this current government came to power with President Vučić, it was open to talk about that again. And then one of colonels said, on TV, NATO delegation came after that. So somehow they didn't know how that F-117 that fell in Bujanovce was shot down, So they came and asked, how you observed that F-117 and shot it down, how you observed and shot down that fell in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and how you observed and shot down B-2 that fell in Spačva, forest in Croatia, you know. So we always knew, you know, just we didn't have confirmation until NATO delegation proved it to us. A funny story about that, when they finished with that talks, you know, they went to museum to see those parts of F-117, F-16, A-10 and drones and stuff like that. So a museum curator, he told them all like it was, like I said now and proved to you, and some other things, you know, and they were very annoyed, you know, they were because when you see it, you know, today in Ukraine, thousands dying every day, but for 78 days of NATO aggression, they managed to kill together policemen and army 1,000 men, you know, to destroy 3 tanks and those 10 planes, most of them on ground, but most of them were in no mission capable status, you know. Even those that took off, you know, to defend the country were without radar and some things, but they hope that they will, you know, meet some planes, NATO planes in air, and then they can combat them, you know, looking with infrared missiles, you know, with infrared sight. But that didn't happen because they were targeted from, you know, 50 and more kilometers. So they were visibly annoyed, losing all that tech, you know, and from 1,200 something tanks, they showed just 3 tanks, you know, kind of humiliated also there. And then one colonel asked, you know, mockingly, so how it was fighting against strongest military power in the world. And this museum curator, instantly he said, well, I don't know, we never fought against Russians. And this one was defeated, you know, and that was end of that story, and it is end of this video. So thank you for watching, and see you next one. What to say? Bye.